Hey there, so in this video I'm going to show you how you can export more than 2,500 or see more than 2,500 search results in a Sales Navigator search. So as you might probably already know if you're watching this video, Sales Navigator limits you to 2,500 results, and that's because if you go to page 100, which I get there just by typing it in, it won't let you go beyond that. They're only going to show you the first 100 pages. And so to see more than 2,500, you basically just have to break down your search using a few different filter options. And I'll go into what is kind of best practice and what you should do to break down your search. So the first thing I'll say is it depends on the size. So if you have a search of, let's say, 1 million people, you're going to have to use the geography filter because none of these other filters are going to break down your search into less than 2,500 effectively. So if I was just looking for everyone in the United States that is a financial advisor, I would have a lot of people here. I'd have 130,000. And even if I try to use something like seniority level, you'll see that every single one of these options are more than 2,500, or most of these options. So I'm going to miss people. And to not create complexity, the best thing to do in this case would be to break it down by state. So I might start with Idaho, let's say, and I get 674. And then when I move on to a new area, I'll exclude Idaho so I don't get duplicates. And let's say I'm doing Massachusetts. I'll get 3,500 here. And again, I'll have to break it down. So here I might do seniority level, senior, and now I'll have 2,000. So here's one search. I'll exclude senior, and that will leave me with just the remaining 1,000. And I'll export these using Wizza, and then I will move on to the next state and continually exclude until I've gotten the entire area. Usually you won't be doing a search that's quite that large. It's usually a bit more targeted than that. So the example I had at the start here was California VP of Sales. And in this case, we have 12,000. So this is a little bit more manageable. And so you have a few different options available to you. If you want to be certain that you're getting everyone in the search, you typically won't always want to do headcount. Sometimes prospects within this search are working at a company that LinkedIn doesn't have their headcount. They don't have a company page associated with them. In this case, they all do. But as you get later in the search to kind of, profiles that are a bit less filled out, sometimes they'll be missing that head count. And so LinkedIn won't include them in your search. So you'll usually want to avoid this if you want to make sure you're getting every single person in there. Some people don't mind, and as it gets most of the search. But if you want to be sure you're getting everyone, you can use things like the seniority level. So I'll do senior here. That'll be 2,000. I can export this search with Wizza and then come back, exclude senior, move on to director. This is small, it's only 239. I'll add on owner, I'll add on CXO. I'll fit as much as I can into one search just so I'm doing as little as possible. And I'll include these. And I got 636, and then I'll just exclude them all. So this will work great, but then you'll eventually get to this vice president one. So let's move on to vice president here. Okay, so I include vice president. Now it's 6,000. So now I'll need to use another filter. In general, you want to do things that are options that you can exclude. So you don't want to do things like past job title because that's using text. It's kind of more confusing. You want to use things that are options. right? And especially options that you can exclude. So you have a lot of filters that you can kind of manipulate here. And you can break down geography more, but in this case, maybe we could do function. They kind of all have the same function because they have the same title in this case. So you probably would have to do years in current company, 1 to 2 years, get 1,000, and then move on to the others. So what you're doing, when you're doing these, it will depend on your search and how much larger it is. It's a lot easier if it's like 5,000. It gets more complicated the more people you have, and you have to use more and more filters. So if you are using Wizza, you want to just make sure you're naming your list right when you export it. So what I will do here is start with entry level, let's say, and I have 2,500. And when I export it with Wizza, what I'll do is I'll just make sure that my nomenclature is right. So I'll say California VP of Sales, or I'll just make a new folder. So now I know everyone in that folder is California VP of Sales. I don't need to repeat that. And I'll just say seniority, entry level. Nice thing about Wizza is we're going to automatically skip duplicates. So if you end up going back and you accidentally, include the same seniority level or something like that, it's not a problem because Wizza is never going to scrape the same people twice. And when you do finish exporting, you can just download the entire folder in one go, and you won't have any duplicates in that file. So that's how you break down searches. If you're doing this with accounts, it's a very similar breakdown. Everyone in accounts is going to have this head count. So you'll just utilize these different filters that are options that you can select from, and you'll be able to export those with Wizza. So that's how you see more than 2,500 results in a LinkedIn Sales Navigator search. For accounts, the limit's actually 1,000. So you'll have to break it down to 1,000 or less, but otherwise, same process, and you can export these accounts with Wizza too. So hope this helps, and see you in the next video.